seguimos estando unidos y saber, hermanos, que esta noche el príncipe de Barcelona tiembla y se revuelve inquieto en su trono, temiendo que por alguna azar decidamos pasarnos de su ciudad y arrasarnos de cielo.
I think Vampire the Masquerade is one of the greatest collections of vampire mythology ever in human history. And I think adding the secret society stuff really amplified it. So in the last 20 years since Vampire came out, you see, you know, they always say that great artists copy, amazing artists steal. Okay, Anne Rice took a vampire mythology and lifted it up. Then Vampire the Masquerade brought it to a new level. And then you got Underworld and all these things. So we have a modern vampire myth. My first vampire game was called Gothic Chronicles, and we used to play at a club called Limelight in New York. Okay, and Limelight was a church, an abandoned church that they turned into a nightclub, and it kind of is the successor to Studio 54. And how I got into the club is because of my fangs, and it was one of those clubs, they had the drag queen at the door and you couldn't get in. And what was really awesome, oh man, this was great, was all of the accountants in the club were these kids from Columbia that their parents sent them to NYU, and they became accountants for the club. So kids from Columbia going to New York City to go to Columbia and NYU, you know, their parents, I'm not going to get into details because they'll probably get shot. It was 20 years ago, oh my God. What was really incredible was we were running these vampire games in the back rooms of the club, okay? The owner was named Peter Gation. He came up to me and he goes, Seb, are you doing a satanic ritual? I'm like, no, we're running Vampire the Masquerade. And he's like, cool, and he walked by. All right, and this is the time that role-playing was, Vampire the Masquerade was hitting the acting community. It wasn't hitting the game scene. It was actors. And you live in New York and you've got these Broadway kids, okay, and I'll tell you, these games were insane. We invited the whole White Wolf crew to come up to visit the church, and walking through this nightclub was incredible with these guys, you know. So because all the accountants, these kids from Columbia, were actually role players. We'd sit there and play Dungeons and Dragons while the security would walk around and take stacks of million dollar stacks of money and put them in a safe, and like we're just sitting there rolling dice and playing D&D, all right, while we're in the middle of the coolest nightclub in New York. And back then, being a geek was not cool. You did not get laid. From 12 to 20, you didn't talk about this stuff. And when you were in college, you did it behind the door, and your girlfriend thought you were a loser.